Every single video about the Lituya Bay Megatsunami tells you the same thing. 1958, Alaska, the biggest wave in recorded history. 1,720 feet tall, only 5 people died. A heroic father and son survived by riding the wave over the treetops. Amazing story, incredible survival. One of the greatest natural disaster stories ever told. There is just one problem. Almost every major detail you just heard is either wrong, misleading, or missing the darkest parts of the story completely. Today, we are going through 6 things about the Lituya Bay Megatsunami that every other video gets wrong. And by the time we are done, you are going to look at this story very differently. Let's start with the biggest one. Every YouTube video, every news article, every social media post about Lituya Bay leads with the same number, 1,720 feet, the tallest wave in recorded history, taller than the Empire State Building, taller than any skyscraper ever built. It sounds impossible because it is. Here is what actually happened on July 9th, 1958. A massive earthquake shook loose 90 million tons of rock above a cliff below Lituya Bay. That rock fell 3,000 feet into the water below. The impact displaced an enormous amount of water, and that water surged up the opposite hillside of the fjord. It reached a height of 1,720 feet on that hillside. That is not wave height. That is called run-up height. It's how far up a slope the water travels, not how tall the actual wave was. Scientists who studied the event and built a scale model of the tsunami concluded that the actual wave crest was approximately 300 feet tall. 300 feet, not 1,720. Now, 300 feet is still an absolutely enormous wave. Nobody is saying this was not terrifying, but there is a massive difference between a 300-foot wave and a 1,720-foot wave. And every single channel sharing that 1,720 number without explaining what it actually means is giving you incomplete information. Think of it this way. If you throw a cup of water against a wall, the water might splash up 6 feet high. That does not mean you threw a 6-foot wave. It means the water traveled 6 feet up a surface after the impact. That's exactly what happened at Lituya Bay. The wave was extraordinary. The number everyone quotes is not what it sounds like. Every video about Lituya Bay presents the low death toll as almost miraculous. Only 5 people died. In a wave that tall, in a disaster that destructive, only 5. And that's true for 1958. But nobody ever talks about what happened at Lituya Bay in 1899. 59 years before the famous Megatsunami, another massive wave struck the same bay. 26 people were killed. Their bodies were never recovered, never found, never found. The water took them and did not give them back. In their memory, the small island sitting in the middle of Lituya Bay was given a name, Cenotaph Island. Cenotaph is a Greek word. It means empty tomb, a memorial for people whose bodies were never found. Every tourist who visits Lituya Bay today sails past Cenotaph Island. Most of them have no idea they are floating past a monument to 26 people who died in the exact same bay, in the exact same kind of disaster, and whose remains are still somewhere on the ocean floor beneath them. The story of Lituya Bay is not just the 1958 miracle. It's also the 1899 tragedy that nobody remembers. The survival of Howard Ulrich and his 7-year-old son is genuinely remarkable. Their boat, the Edry, was lifted by the wave and carried over the tops of the trees that line the shore. They rode it like a surfer rides a wave, except their wave was 300 feet tall and moving through a fjord in Alaska at night. They cut their anchor chain, started their engine, and somehow made it out of the bay alive. It's one of the most extraordinary survival stories in American history. But here's what every video leaves out. There were 3 boats anchored at Lituya Bay that night. The Edry, Ulrich and his son, survived. The Badger, another fishing boat, was also lifted by the wave and carried over the trees. Bill and Vivian Swanson were on board. They too survived after their boat was dragged out through the bay entrance by the receding water. And then there was the Sunmore. The Sunmore was anchored at the mouth of the bay. Orville and Mickey Wagner were on board, a father and son, just like Ulrich and his boy. The wave hit the Sunmore and capsized it immediately. Both of them were killed. Their bodies were never found. Two boats with fathers and sons, same wave, same night, same bay. One became a hero story that every channel shares. The other became two more names on the list of people Lituya Bay has taken and never returned. Nobody talks about Orville and Mickey Wagner. Nobody makes videos about them. Because a tragedy doesn't get clicks the way a miracle does. Every piece of coverage about the 1958 Megatsunami frames it as an extraordinary, once-in-a-generation event, a freak occurrence, something that might happen once in 1,000 years. That's completely wrong. In the past 170 years, Lituya Bay has experienced 4 separate tsunami events with waves exceeding 100 feet, 4 times in 170 years. That's not once in a millennium. That's roughly once every 40 years on average. 1853, 1899, 1936, 1950.
The geological conditions that cause every single one of those events have not changed. The Fairweather fault, the same fault that triggered the 1958 earthquake, is still active. The same unstable mountain slopes still loom over the same deep, narrow bay. The same geography that amplifies waves to extraordinary heights is still exactly where it was. Scientists who have studied the bay have stated clearly that another megatsunami at Lituya Bay is not a question of if, it is a question of when. The 1958 event happened 67 years ago. Based on the historical pattern, the bay is overdue. After every major natural disaster, people find comfort in the idea that technology has improved, that warning systems exist now, that what happened in 1958 could not catch anyone off guard today. At Lituya Bay, that comfort is false. Megatsunamis caused by landslides are fundamentally different from earthquake-generated tsunamis that travel across open oceans. Those ocean-crossing tsunamis can take hours to arrive at distant shores, giving warning systems time to alert coastal communities. A landslide megatsunami is different. In 1958, the time between the earthquake and the wave reaching the boats anchored in the bay was less than 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes from the ground shaking to a 300-foot wall of water hitting everything in the bay. No warning system on Earth operates that fast. The sensors would detect the earthquake. The data would be processed. The alert would be generated. The message would be sent, and the wave would already be gone. If you were anchored in the Lituya Bay today with every piece of modern technology available, and the Fairweather fault slipped the same way it did in 1958, you would have no more warning than Orville and Mickey Wagner had, which was none at all. The Lituya Bay is a popular destination for kayakers, fishermen, and adventurous tourists who want to experience the remote Alaskan wilderness. It is genuinely beautiful, a dramatic fjord surrounded by mountains and glaciers, the kind of place that ends up on screensavers and travel magazines. What the travel guides do not tell you is the full history of what that water has done. 26 people in 1899, 5 people in 1958, and before that, evidence of even earlier megatsunami events visible in the geological record along the bay's shoreline. The island in the middle of the bay is called Cenotaph, empty tomb, named for people whose bodies the water kept. Long Island in the middle of the bay is called Cenotaph, empty tomb, named for people whose bodies the water kept. Scientists have identified that the slopes above the bay are still loaded with unstable rock and glacial material, the same conditions, the same fault, the same geography, and a historical pattern that says events like 1958 happen there every 30 to 40 years. Every person who anchors their boat in the Lituya Bay for the night is doing exactly what Howard Oltrich did in 1958, what Orville and Mickey Wagner did. 2 of those 3 boats made it out. 1 did not. The bay looks exactly the same today as it did on the night of July 9th, 1958, and the mountain above it has not moved an inch.